to the MMA Heat podcast. Karyn, Bryant here.
What's up, my people? Alan, Jouban with you as well.
Your people are now we're your subjects, Alan?
My people. Come with me, people.
My people. Hey, so listen, it's another Monday time for another podcast. We'll talk about UFC 256 and look ahead to the fights this weekend. But Alan, how you doing on your Christmas shopping?
I'm almost done, Karyn. I think I told you last time. I will sit down and go, okay, I got to go Christmas shopping because I don't think of these things, and I will go on Amazon or whatever and get it all done at once. And so I'm kind of just like I see something that, oh, this would be good for this person.
Yeah.
I might grab it, but I'm kind of done. I'm not going to Louisiana, staying here. So I'm just kind of buying for my wife and my son. I might get my parents or something, but older people, parents and grandparents, like they got everything they want. They don't need anything. What do you buy them? Like a Swiss Army knife that has every little tool in it? Like you don't know what to get. I don't know what to get people anymore. Over a certain age, I don't need anything. If I need it, I go get it. So but I'm good. I'm good on I think I'm done with all my Christmas gifts, to be honest. We're gonna do a little Lake Arrowhead, same place that we were. Yeah,
nice.
Been there with you before.
Nice.
When they were with the fams. We're gonna go and just sit out, chill. Hopefully it's not shut down because of the Rona, but chill out over there.
Yeah, well, because I mean, at least it's nice and pretty up there. Maybe you'll get some snow.
We'll see. I saw people doing some sledding.
Yeah.
So I don't know if like the mountains keep snow year round or what. I don't know how that works. But I saw people doing sledding.
Yeah.
And near Lake Arrowhead today. I saw a video of it. So I'm assuming they have snow. Or I wonder if they like pump water down the mountains and it freezes. I don't know.
They might. Yeah, I don't know because I know Big Bear usually gets. They have like skiing and snow, like the inner tube sledding and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know.
They were doing that down the slopes.
See, I don't know how early in the year that starts. You're right. Yeah, since I don't really like snow that much, Alan. I don't look into where the snow is. Usually, if I do look into snow, it's only to find out where not to go. But
I don't go snowboarding or anything, but I will go sledding if that's okay.
Oh, I'll sled like a mother. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I don't snowboard. I've already had like 8 knee surgeries.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, please don't go snowboarding, Alan.
Okay. I know.
Yeah, no, I think I'm closer to the end than to the beginning. I still have a couple friends, like with kids that we get some stuff for that I need to get. And I think I'm almost done. Yeah, a lot of clicking, a lot of clicking.
That's the Christmas buying this year. Yeah, I mean, what stores are? I haven't really been to that many stores. I'm just clicking. Online. Yeah.
Well, but anyway, it is time for the last UFC event of the year. And in fact, folks, Alan and I will be working together this weekend, which is going to be really fun.
I can't wait.
Yeah, and the cool thing about this fight coming up this weekend, we have Wonder Boy, we have Aldo, we have a lot of great kickers on this card. But first and foremost, Alan, let's talk about what happened on Saturday night, UFC 256. A lot of people now saying the greatest flyweight fight ever and the greatest title fight, flyweight title fight ever. It was a majority draw, which meant that Deiveson Figueiredo kept his title. It was such a incredibly fun fight to watch. Mm-hmm. But I was kind of heartbroken. It was a draw. Like, it got weird with that point getting taken away, and you knew things were going to start to get squirrely, and it was so competitive. I don't know that there was a clear winner, but at the same time, a draw just hurt.
Yeah, I've got so many thoughts on this. I'm trying to think how I should channel it and start. First off, yes. Greatest flyweight fight of all time. Yes, I can't think. I mean, I'd have to do some research, to be honest, and look. What was another one that was closely contested to that? And maybe it would be, one of those fights that,
Well, Joe and Cejudo had good fights, right? Demetrius and Joe had good, I think what it was is Demetrius was so dominant over a lot of the people.
He was so dominant, and he had spectacular finishes. Remember when he did the lift to the armbar with 1 second left in a 25-minute fight? Like, that was spectacular. But the other 24 minutes were not as spectacular as this fight. So there's no way there's any other fight that was such a fight of the night like this one. And then not only was this probably the greatest flyweight fight of all time, in my opinion, it outdid the ladies, Karyn. That fight early on this year where the women had the early nod for a fight of the year.
Okay.
With Joanna Jędrzejczyk
Yeah.
and Weili Zhang. And then this fight came one of the last fights of the year. and it was just a phenomenal fight. There was so much, I've said this before, Karyn. I've given the lighter weight classes a hard time because I say there's not as much danger involved, and I've explained that a couple of times. Like, if you get taken down, it doesn't mean anything. You get hit, the guys don't get hurt. What am I talking about? These guys were banging. These guys were in the pocket. They were getting injured. They were getting hurt. I mean, there was a lot at stake in this fight with every time they traded punches, and they were just continuing to push forward. So definitely my fight of the year nods. And then what was that other subject? Oh, with the draw, the scorecards. I wanted to get to that. So it was having a draw. I'm okay with. I know you don't agree with it so much, but I'm okay with it because, first of all, Moreno, I was blown away. I did not know this kid was so tough. Okay, McLovin.
Every time you used to see him at UFC, now you don't remember, and UFC, you don't know how good. Why do you think I would always go over and hug him? Like, I love that kid. He's awesome.
I did not think he scrapped like that. I thought he had good finishing capabilities on the back, good jiu-jitsu. We had fought on a card before together in Mexico City. He fought Sergio Pettis, I believe. Yeah. Didn't quite go his way that night. Wasn't a banger of a fight. But he is there to scrap. He's got that Mexican heart in him that never say die. And he's very good at striking. I didn't realize his striking was up to that level. And how many people have you seen Figueiredo hit and stay on their feet like that? He's been knocking everybody out, putting them down on the ground, cutting them. And Brandon was just there taking the shots and then countering right after. I was blown away by it. But to get to the scorecards, Karyn, I don't know if you saw, but one of the judges gave Moreno the last round, which to me was a clear Figueiredo round. Right. And so if he had not given him that, it would have gone to Figueiredo in that last round, and Figueiredo won the fight. So in my eyes, Figueiredo kind of won that fight, but I would never say anything negative about it, because Moreno was so much heart, and it takes two to tango. If Moreno would have folded in one of those early rounds, we would have saying Figueiredo is such a dominant champion, but Moreno has no quit in him, and it made it this spectacular fight that we got to see.
It really was an incredible fight, and I guess I'm not necessarily so mad at the draw, because I love Brandon. I think he's incredible, and I just think he's a wonderful kid. But that doesn't mean I have something against the champ. You know what I mean? Because Deiveson is a total wrecker. Like, so it's really fun to watch him fight. I guess if you're gonna lose, right, that's the best way to lose, a majority draw, right? I mean, like, it's kind of, the whole Wonder Boy and Tyrant thing before, how we had that draw. So I guess I'm not mad at in terms of that. And yes, I think Deiveson gets the end round, and I guess it was just sort of like, after all that, it was just kind of a little bit of a deflation, like a draw. Like, I don't know.
I kind of feel though like Moreno was happy with it, because in my eyes, Moreno was doing amazing, but after Figueiredo won that last round, I was thinking it's either probably a draw or Figueiredo won. Right. That's what I was thinking. So for Moreno, a draw is kind of the plus side of the coin.
That's the best way to lose.
Better than exactly the best way to lose, because it's not a loss. It's just Figueiredo retains the title. Right. I get whatever I get, and I get an immediate rematch. And now I'm back in the money again. I've gained respect from UFC, from the fans. The flyweight division has come up now. So it was the best possibility other than him winning that could have happened, and it guarantees him a second fight. So it was great for him. But also, when you think about it, if he didn't have a low blow point deduction in that second or third round, I believe it was, and then the judge kind of botched the last round, Figueiredo would have still won that fight. So Moreno's got to go back to the drawing board, not in a negative way, but I'm saying he's got to go back and say, okay, it was an amazing fight, but the point deduction and a judge botching the fifth round is what made it a draw. So I need him to figure out a way to get over that hurdle, to out-edge him for 2 more rounds, or whatever has to be done, because it was so closely contested, but still Figueiredo kind of one-upped them if everything had kind of went a different way without the low blows and whatnot.
And of course, we then find out after the fact that Figueiredo was really sick, was in the hospital the night before. I mean, that's what's incredible about him, is to put on that performance and to have it go all those 5 rounds, to have that 5th round be at the same exact pace as the first round, for them to just go, I say it every time, but when you watch the flyweights, it's cats in a bag. And I love it, and that's why I love watching them, because it just never stops. And so that, to me, just kicked Deiveson up into this whole other level of knowing how sick he was the night before, and then to be able to keep performing the way he did. And, like you said, Brandon just kept coming, like incredible performance. So I agree with what you're saying. I love the fact that, yes, we'll get the rematch now. And partly, I guess I wonder too, it's a little bit of a shame that, they each fought 3 weeks ago. That obviously had maybe something to do with it. And I know you guys are always like, I'm ready, I could fight again tonight. But like, maybe you shouldn't, right? So maybe 3 weeks was too soon for both guys. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. I mean, their performances were still incredible, but at the same time, you're like, what if they had actually more time to get ready and hadn't depleted their bodies twice in 3 weeks,
Well, the UFC did a very good job in lobbying for Figueiredo to take that fight. They brought him into the office a couple of days and said, by the way, we owe you $50,000 for a bonus. We didn't give it to you. We messed up. We effed up.
Right.
Here's 50 G's cash. Oh, and by the way, will you fight in 3 weeks and be the headliner, because we need a title fight to make this pay-per-view by. He did the company one. Fantastic fight. We were all treated as fans, as fighters, and it was just such a fun card, way to finish out the night. And it's like really 2 storylines from this fight, Karyn. It's Figueiredo is such a spectacular champion, so dominant, because he went to a draw against his toughest test yet, and like I said already, he got a point deducted, and the judge botched the 5th round, but it was still a draw. And he was in the hospital to 2 in the freaking morning, barely got any sleep, was sick to his stomach, and went 25 minutes of the best flyweight fight in UFC history. That's one side of the story, Figueiredo. And the other side, just as equally as powerful, is Moreno going in there against this dominant champion that I just talked up so much, and sitting in there with him every strike, side by side, never folding, staying in there, having his flurries, winning multiple rounds, coming back after the low blow, the eye poke. I mean, it was such a spectacular fight. He proved to everyone like how good he really is. He's the guy that does commentary as well, right? Doesn't he do the Spanish broadcast sometimes?
No, sometimes he does it. Usually that's Cheeto. Cheeto does it sometimes, and
Cheeto do it. Okay,
and Santiago Ponzinibbio. That's who usually does the Spanish stuff.
Brandon will do like UFC Now or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Gotcha. But yeah, man, I'm happy for the guy, because now, his career is going in the right direction. He's making more money, all that good stuff. But like for him, he's got that thing that like I felt like I got after my fight, like the respect factor from the UFC, the respect factor from your peers, the respect factor from his division and other divisions were like, damn, like amazing. Dana White was like congratulating Mick Maynard, the matchmaker, like on rebuilding that flyweight division. And like, again, if Moreno had folded or got knocked out, we didn't have had none of this conversation right now, but he made all this happen. So congrats to that dude, man. He's awesome.
Yeah, Brandon, he might do some commentary stuff. I'm just not sure on that. But
I will say before, but I see him around all the time, so I don't know. He's just always around.
The one thing I didn't love, and I love the guys that I work with, I didn't love how hard they went on the end projecting that Brandon had a broken arm, though, because that they kind of went, we don't know, and you don't know what's going on, and you're in a fight, and I get that you're, you speculate and folks, this might be happening, but I was kind of like, well, we're not sure it's broken, really, like right. And then Brandon, because he had that hematoma, right? And so then he said afterwards in the interview that it wasn't broken. Hopefully it's not. Because then it did make you think like, because then on the one hand I was like, well, don't tell me that if you don't really know. But on the other hand, you were like, the whole idea that if it was broken and he was still slinging it, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe he's still throwing that punch. Like if his hand's broken, but his forearm's broken, but he's still jabbing. Like, I don't know. They just both showed so much heart. I think it really was an incredible fight. I don't know. The draw thing, I guess I just was sort of like, oh, okay.
I didn't get it. But how about, Karyn, how about in that post-fight interview, And they asked him about the arm, the shoulder.
Right.
And he was like, yeah, I heard something pop or something, but I'm good. I'm good. And then his face is like demolished, and he's like smiling the most bloody, big cheese smile possible. He's like, oh, I feel good, like, and I was just like, this kid is so tough. He's so tough. So many people would have been right there kind of saying like, oh my God, my shoulder was killing me.
Yeah.
I had to fight through it. He was just like, no, it's good. I'm going to keep going, smiling, cheesing it away. He's got this like, I don't want to say innocence because that sounds like a kid or something, but he's got this sweetness that's even worse. I don't know. Help me out, Karyn.
He's incredibly likable. You can't not like him. He's a
likable guy. That's a good way
to put it.
He's just incredibly likable, and he doesn't have to put on this facade of how tough he is because it comes out in his warrior spirit when he fights. And so I love seeing that in people.
Yeah, I've been a fan since The Ultimate Fighter, right? Because I worked with him on that in terms of doing tough talk and things like that. So got to know Brandon from the very beginning. And as a reminder, folks, he was the last pick on The Ultimate Fighter. And he, he was a young kid. He didn't know much at all, makes it all the way up to the end in the UFC, then gets cut, then comes back. So really just an incredible story for Brandon Moreno overall. And so I look forward to the rematch. And congratulations, Pada Benz, Campayao, Deiveson, Figueiredo, because, that dude is legit.
Yeah.
Legit.
Rashad Evans was last pick on Ultimate Fighter as well, and he had a little bit of a good career as well.
Little bit of a career. You and I are both Tony Ferguson fans. You guys have trained together. I put a clip out with you guys again the other day. Going into this fight, this was in a way a dream matchup to favorite people of mine, and at the same time one of those heartbreakers. This one I would have preferred the draw. I wanted the draw in Oliveira versus Ferguson more. Do you know what I mean? Because to me, it really hurt to see Tony lose. But at the same time I say that, I'm like, holy crap, Oliveira, who I've been a fan for years, is finally getting his due. Do you know what I mean? So I'm on both sides of the fence on that one. Absolutely incredible dominant performance from Charles Oliveira, and he's the real deal. I've been such a fan of his for a long time now, but I do wonder, what happened to Tony's arm after the armbar, how much it was, relegated to useless after that. I really would love to know what he was feeling during that fight and how bad it really was, because it was insane. I mean, we all know, we all freaked out. We all remember Dan Hardy and GSP. We've all seen, various holy crap arm bars that how they get out of it. Misha had one time, but like this was insane. And the fact that he didn't tap, I didn't expect Tony to tap, but the fact that he didn't tap and kept going in that fight was really, really incredible. I hope Charles Oliveira gets a title shot. Let's just say that. Yeah.
Well, first of all, Karyn, I thought the fight was over. When the armbar happened and the ref stepped in, I thought the fight, I didn't hear the bell, I guess. I was screaming so loud or something. I thought the fight was over. I was going nuts. I was like, holy crap, I can't. And then Tony goes back to his corner and sits down and they start icing him. And I was like, oh, this is still going. He's still going to fight with that arm. The bell rang. I didn't even know it. So for me, it was just an up and down roller coaster watching that fight. His arm, I promise you guys, popped multiple times because it was much worse than the Dan Hardy GSP fight, because as great as GSP was, the whole thing was GSP didn't know to put the thumb up. GSP was here, and so was able to bend. It was not as bad as the Miesha Tate fight where her arm, like elbow, like dislocated or whatever the hell happened. That was just gruesome. But this one, Oliveira knows what he's doing. The thumb was up. He was popping it. I guarantee you, he popped it probably twice, and then when he put it under his arm, that's when we got real nasty.
If you're wondering this was me during that. I was bugging.
I mean, there was probably 4 or 5 pops, I would imagine. And so Tony's arm was trash after that. Adrenaline allowed him to continue, and he still kept throwing it. It was slow, though. He was shaking it now and then in the last round. And that's Tony Ferguson. That's adrenaline mixed with a little bit of Tony Ferguson toughness that allowed him to go, where a lot of people would have been in the corner saying, hey, man, like my arm is trash. And the coach would have said, I don't care about your arm. You got an elbow or something. But Tony goes back to the arm, and he's just in Tony mode. And tough fight. But Charles Oliveira, he looked amazing. Karyn, his wrestling, I didn't know he could wrestle so well. Like, we're used to seeing him with crafty submissions or lightning fast back takes. But no, he's gonna high crotch slam you. He's gonna double leg lift and slam you to the ground. He's gonna take you down repeatedly, slide into mount with ease. He's gonna get into his submission, and then we forgot. And he looked good into striking in this one as well. But his last couple of fights before that, his striking was the highest level that you can imagine for a guy like that. So the sky's the limit for him. I don't know what is next. Dana White said it. We're gonna see what plays out in the division with the Conor fight. If Khabib's coming back, what happens if Poirier wins this fight? But he's a guy that's right there in the mix. He's a guy that we weren't having in this conversation, right? We've had this lightweight conversation quite a few times, and we're like, there's always an odd man out, right? There's always 5 people in that division when you talk about everybody in there. Again, now it's probably an odd man out, but he is most certainly in that fight. In that division, he's in that top 5, that possible contender for the fight. What's his name that came over from Bellator that I'm blanking on real quick?
Mike Chandler.
Chandler. What is he doing? I mean, he came in and I thought he was going to fight right away, and now he's kind of the guy that I feel personally is losing momentum because he still hasn't acquainted himself with the UFC fans. He still hasn't proven. We all know Michael Chandler's a badass, but he hasn't proven himself in the UFC. And now he's been on quite a little layoff. He came to the UFC a couple months back, hasn't done anything yet, hasn't really he did a lot of interviews at first. But I want to see him like calling out a guy and saying, I need to fight right now. I'm a killer. I'm starving for a fight. And it kind of seems like he's sitting back right now while other guys like Oliveira are gaining momentum in the division and might be pushing him out the way.
Well, he was an alternate for the title fight with Khabib. Right. So he was over there and all that. But yeah, I agree with you.
That, which was gangster.
Yeah, I agree with you though. Like, I want to see him fight too. So maybe you could do Chandler Gaethje. Or unless Chandler just thinks he's going to wait to see what happens with Conor and Dustin. But you could, I guess, do Chandler Oliveira, or you could do Gaethje Oliveira, Gaethje Chandler. I mean,
there's a lot of fun possibilities. I personally would recommend for Chandler. And look, he's a bunch of stuff going on. He knows what's going on with him and his managers. They have a plan.
Yeah.
But showing the UFC fans out the gates, I'm a fighter. I'll fight anybody in the top 5. Give them to me, hand me them, and let me prove, let me earn. Because you know, you're only as good as your last fight, and let that speak for itself. Oliveira, second to last fight of the year, what he did to Tony Ferguson, that speaks volume. Now he's the guy. He's the guy right now. It was like Justin Gaethje just lost to the champ. He should get the rematch. Conor McGregor, Poirier, 2 of the biggest names and baddest men in the sport. Yeah. Maybe the winner of them. Oliveira just wrecked Tony Ferguson. He's the guy. I kind of see Chandler at the bottom of the list now. He's the number 5 in line. He's not at that. He's not about to get the title shot in my eyes.
Yeah, I think Charles has leapfrogged him. I think Charles has leapfrogged him too. What's insane to me is, like you were just talking about with Charles's wrestling. It used to be that you thought you only had to worry about his submissions, right?
Yeah.
And then he came out and he knocked out, who did he knock out in that one fight? And you were like, oh, snap. Like I forget, but he came out and like lit somebody up and knocked him out. And then you were like, oh, was it? No, he didn't knock out Kevin, was it? But anyway, but my point was that for the longest time, you only thought you had to worry about his submissions. Then he came out and knocked somebody out. Then there's the wrestling and everything. And the way Charles looked does make me think he is a champion. And the fact, too, that when we think about the best jiu-jitsu at the top of the division, right? Well, you would have said Tony. Mm-hmm. He just did that to Tony. So nobody else in the top 5's jiu-jitsu is going to come close to Charles Oliveira.
It was different types of jiu-jitsu. Like, Tony's getting a hard time right now from, is it Ali, the manager?
Well, yeah, tell me something new. I mean, those two have been at it for years. Yeah.
Right, that's his thing. You know, he likes to tweet and he's very vocal and stuff. Right. And I've got nothing bad to say about Ali. He's always been great with me.
Yeah.
But he's giving Tony a hard time right now. And yes, he did get shown up by Oliveira. Mm-hmm. But there's different types of jiu-jitsu. Oliveira is not, when you look at the most credentialed jiu-jitsu guy in the UFC, he's not on that list. He's not a guy that's been competing in tournaments his whole life. He has been done tournaments, but he's more of an MMA specialist jiu-jitsu guy. He's just so good in the scrambles at fighting stuff. Tony is a good scramble guy, but he's more of I'm gonna lock into Darce mid scramble type guy. If I'm in dominant position, I take you down, I ankle tap you, and then I have long arms and he swings that Darce or anaconda choke on. But when it comes to overall jiu-jitsu, yeah, Charles is, a more well-rounded jiu-jitsu guy from different positions than Tony is. Tony's a more high percentage from 2 or 3 neck choke positions. So, I don't think we could give Tony – I don't think Tony should be getting such a hard time saying, like, oh, you're not a black belt or this or that. It was just that Oliveira is so much well-rounded, but his wrestling just came up. I mean, he proved to everyone. Nobody knew that was going to happen. Nobody thought he was going to be slamming Tony on his back 2 or 3 times. I mean, that was unexpected from all of us. So Oliveira is just that good.
He really is. And he's so cool looking and just, I don't know. Like I said, I just love his vibe. And he's just a straight killer. And
Figueiredo did his hair before the fight. So he got in the bubble, he got his hair did at the Ramada, so that was free, and that worked out good as well.
I'm happy. I'm happy for Charles. And yeah, Tony, I really hope, like a lot of people love to pick on him, which I think is crappy. I'm not one of them, because I think Tony's incredible, always has been. And the thing about it is he's only ever going to fight amazing people, right? So he's never going to get an easy fight. And I do wonder, like I said, going back to the beginning thought of how incapacitated that arm really was, and how much that contributed. I mean, the other thing to say to this though is, if anybody wants to give Tony a bunch of grief, is let's say that arm was completely like useless. Yeah, you have the #1 submission guy in the whole entire UFC on you. He has 15 minutes to submit you, and he still didn't do it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Or 10, he had at least 10. He had 10 minutes after the arm bar. He had 10 minutes after. You spent 10 minutes with a useless arm and did not get submitted by the best submission guy in the whole UFC.
I tell you what, I'm glad that bell rang, because if the bell had not rang in round 1, Karyn, Tony's probably too tough for his own good, and that arm would have got ripped to shit, to shred. If there was 30 more seconds, yes, it would have been very nasty. I wouldn't have seen it. The ref then would have stepped in after the injury already occurred. And that's the tough thing about fighters. Like, we don't want to give up, but then it's like, I'm not going to tap. Boom, now my arm is gone, and I have to have surgery. And they stop the fight anyway, because you can't allow a fighter to fight if there's an obvious injury. And so that bell ringing, even though his arm still took a tremendous amount of damage, was the best thing that could have happened for the mentally too tough to tap on Tony Ferguson.
Agreed. I'm a Tony fan for life, though, so that's how I am.
And sorry, guys, my bulldog once again loves our podcast so much that he comes sit on the couch and snores his butt off. So I apologize if you hear those noises every time. That's my dog. He will not leave during the podcast.
That is funny. We love Bodie. We love him. So, Alan, the night had a lot of excitement. There were some incredible knockouts. There was, I think, the biggest what was Kevin Holland to Jacare for me. I lost my mind. Didn't understand what was happening. Didn't unbelieve what I saw. Yeah. Don't know how it happened. Was it just in total shock?
I was too. I second all of that. Right away, yes, I was thinking in my head. I think I even tweeted, I have never seen this before. And in the back of my mind, I go, well, Nico Price kind of did that before. Yeah. But it was just as spectacular, but it was much different. Nico did a hammer fist, and he was kind of in like I forgot the position. It was kind of a weird position that he was in. But it wasn't against the opponent that Kevin Holland did it against. Right. And it wasn't in the fashion that he did it. The way that he kind of posted on his leg and threw that like overhand from his back and then stunned him. And then Jacare was kind of on his knees out. He was kind of out, like knocked out, leaning back like that. And Kevin Holland just stood up and started blasting at him. And I was like, it was such a spectacular knockout. And it was just so spectacular that Kevin Holland, people, has fought 5 times this year. And to go and to cap off the year against a guy like Jacare, to finish him by knockout, 5 fights, 5 wins in 2020, and then go to the interview and say, I'll fight again next weekend against Chimaev. He's a gangster. I mean, like, nobody has had a better year than Kevin Holland. There's some good years. I mean, the man, so many fighters that had some great years. But Kevin Holland, man, I mean, he just continues to impress.
Well, in my After the Facts video, Alan, I let people know, and I'll tell you here that there's only 2 other fighters who have ever won 5 fights in a calendar year. It was Roger Huerta, which I think in 2007, I think. And can you remember the other one?
Well, I would say either Cowboy or my division. What's his name?
Yes.
Tall,
yes.
black guy.
Yes.
Yes. Dang it. Why am I blanking? Give me 1 second. Neal Magny.
Yes. I was like, I was going to give you 5 seconds.
Woo.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, Neal Magny's a gangster. I remember like in 2014 or something like that.
It was 2014.
Okay, good. Fight. Neal Magny was just climbing the ranks, making a name for himself. Man, I can't believe Cowboy wasn't on that list. In a calendar year, he didn't do it.
Yes, it was 5 wins in a year. So Cowboy probably fought 5 times, but maybe he didn't win all 5.
Oh, 5 wins.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow,
so
that's an impressive list.
I know, 5 wins. So yeah, Holland, Huerta, and Magny now in there. So pretty incredible.
You know what's crazy, Karyn? Like, for the rest of time, the kids 20 years from now are going to open up the history books, and they're going to be talking about the Civil War and this and that, and they're going to go, and 2020 sucked. Like, it's going to be like, and then Kevin Holland will be like telling his family 2020 was the best year.
Totally.
This is when we bought our house. This is when the Holland legacy began. Like, he's going to have a total different outlook on 2020 than the rest of the world. It's crazy.
Well, so will guys like Joaquin Buckley, who is, that's one of the things that we're talking about. But yes.
Made him famous.
Right. There are certain people for whom 2020 was a total banner year. Yeah, absolutely.
And they have to kind of like keep it to themselves.
Right.
And be like, they're happy at home in quarantine.
Right, because everybody, people are having full on meltdowns and stuff. So if he fought, I mean, I will say this again. Reminder, folks. Alan and I are working together this weekend over at ESPN. But I'm very disappointed that we don't get to see Khamzat fight this weekend because I really was looking forward to that. So if we ever did see Khamzat and Kevin fight, that would be kind of cool. Yeah. That would be really cool. But yeah, Kevin Holland, a huge year for him. I want to ask you in terms of the other knockouts though. Rafael Fiziev got a bonus for his win over Renato Moicano. I really thought my boy Cubby and yours, Cub Swanson, should have gotten a knockout a bonus because, for him to come back, it was a year ago or whatever that his knee got trashed at Polaris. And, he had already had a comeback after that, before that or whatever. So the fact that Jake had accidentally, popped his knee during that, I felt so bad. So for me, Cub is, and it's the OGs, right? It's the OGs that you can't help but root for. And Cub is just such a great guy. And then to see all of everything he came back from. But I don't know about you, Alan, but every single time Pineda did something to his knees and his legs, like my stomach was turning and freaking out. Like that first round had me so stressed out about his knee. And then you saw the welt, the redness behind it when he was getting kicked. And like every single time his knee was in a situation, I just was bugging out. But that knockout was so incredible. And you saw all the emotion on his face after just really everything. So I was really happy for him. But really, those were some spectacular knockouts. But I thought Cub should have gotten 50 Gs.
Yeah, no, I let me break it down. I like to do scales. What's the other guy's name had that spectacular knockout? That got
Rafael Fiziev.
Yeah. He, in my opinion, had the more spectacular knockout combo-wise, like visual aesthetics, like holy shit, like he slipped, counter.
Right.
Was a little more beautiful. But the problem with it was kind of an early stoppage, could have argued, you know what I mean? His opponent dropped, but then immediately pulled guard and he was protesting the stoppage. So it's like a beautiful knockout has to start with a beautiful punch or fist or kick, but it also has to end with a devastating fall. That's why, we've seen so many people that they go to sleep in the air and that becomes more spectacular. Right. It didn't have the finish where Cub had a little bit more of a finish, put a stamp on it at the end. And I agree. I was in the same position. I was watching Cub thinking we both just came back from ACL surgery. His was a couple of months after mine. He's a father. He even said something about he wants his kids to think of him as a superhero again. And it resonated with me because my son saw all my wins when he was young, but he doesn't remember them. He remembers my last fight when I lost, and he's like, "You better not fight Conor McGregor, Dad. That guy's scary." And I'm like, "You don't remember, you old man? Like, don't worry." You know what I mean? So I wanted that, and I know Cub wanted that. You could see the emotions in his face when he was fighting, and then the relief after. Like, it was a beautiful moment. And he put an exclamation point on the end when he kind of like he gave a roar over the top. I go, I know what he's doing. I mean, he's probably letting the emotions out, but he's also kind of like stomping his foot to the people around, saying, "Look, I got that knockout. Give me that bonus. This is highlight reel material." So I was shocked that he didn't get it as well, but. You know, I feel like the UFC is also in a position right now where they're really, 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 especially with the cuts coming at the end of the year, scary stuff, but really promoting the newer fighters a lot more. And so, yes, everybody loves the money, but it's also like on your resume. When people look at it, they go, wow, this guy has 2 fight nights, 4 fight nights, Dana White Contender Series. You know how it works, Karyn. Those things jump off the page rather. And for people like us who were speaking about them, or the commentators or anybody that they're promoting, they want more accolades on that resume, like fight of the night performances. So I'm not trying to make it too much of a conspiracy thing, but I feel like the UFC wants to promote some of these guys because that guy, that knockout, who I keep forgetting his name, but it was a spectacular knockout, and he's a guy that like. He can go a long way in the UFC. Where Cub might be retiring in a few years, this guy could still be fighting for 5, 6, 7 years. I don't know his age, but he looks super young.
Yeah, Fiziev was on Fight Island, so we fought over there too. And yeah, you make sense in that they're building up new stars, and also maybe Cub's show and win bonus money is way more than other people anyway at this point, being probably, an OG, right? So it might be that type of thing. I'm just, he's our buddy. We do UFC now together. It's Cub.
I would like to see Cub get it as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think. Not last thoughts, but
who else was on there?
Sagano. A lot of people with Gane, with Ciryl Gane. I completely admit to being horrendous at pronouncing French things. So I don't want to. I think it's Ciryl Gane. But anyway, I don't. People are like, "Oh, was that elbow to the back of the head?" I don't know what your thoughts are on that because you're an elbow guy. It looked good to me, and you also can't. Junior was moving, and I think it was legal, but I know. Yeah. People want to.
Yeah, no, 100%. You can't protest that. It may have landed in an illegal spot, yes, but it's very different having somebody down on the mat. Let's say, picture Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier. Remember when he had his hand down and he was hitting Dustin? I'm not saying those are illegal, but I'm saying then that's a much easier way to pick and choose where I'm hitting because the guy's knocked out almost and you're pinpointing the back of the head on the ground. When you're on the feet, if you get hit in the back of the head, you kind of just get hit in the back of the head. Unless the guy turns his back to you and you just start targeting the back of the head. But which then in that case, you can't turn your back to your opponent on the feet. Like you don't have a choice on the ground. Somebody takes your back. They can't hit you in the back of the head. But like nobody should ever turn your back. And Junior kind of turned his back. He was kind of on wobbly legs or something. And he kind of gave the angle right here to get hit in the back of the head. And then lastly, it was an elbow. And like the trajectory, if that's the right word for it, of the elbow, like we're trying to hit with this, but any part of this could land before that. And so you don't really know exactly what you're going to hit when hitting a round thing with an elbow. So I not 100, like I felt horrible for Junior because I like him so much, but nothing about that was like a bad thing. I felt bad because Junior, he was kind of rocked and it probably hurt the back of his head. So he was protesting it. But realistically, I think if he goes back and watches it, he might be like, it hit me in the head, but I get it. I turned my back and he was throwing the shot and it happened to land. So moving forward, I don't know what the future holds for him. He's such a great fighter still, but he's one of those guys that we just talked about that is a former champion, gets paid a lot of money, but has a couple of losses, older in age. And the UFC is looking closely at these type of fighters and saying, what do we want to do? Do we want to continue to promote them or possibly cut them? So Oh man, it's can you imagine if we see that in the next couple of days before Christmas, like cut from the UFC? It's just gonna be it's gonna be that. It's gonna be sad times, man. It's gonna be sad times with some of these beloved fighters.
Yeah, it seems with a former champion like Junior, you maybe, yeah. I,
I know. I maybe give him a little special treatment.
or
My
maybe
water.
semantically make it sound like he chose
Okay.
to leave or something. I don't know. I love the guy too, so
I would love if they gave him that respect, but yeah. When we talk about like you know how it is, former champions, they're the highest on that pay scale. They're that guaranteed whatever it is, like 150 and 150. So business wise, when the UFC sits down and looks at it business wise, going to say this guy's at the top of the pay scale in the flat rate, and is he producing as much as this contender guy that's at the bottom of the pay scale? I don't know, man. It's I don't know. It's a weird thing every time we talk about this. I feel like we've talked about this a lot lately, but it's just because it's current. It's happening. We're losing 60 to 90 to 60 to 80 fighters in the next couple of weeks. And so when people arise that are maybe in that category, we just have to talk about it because it's something that might be a real thing happening.
it's really tough, and yeah, it is going to be tough around this time of year. I mean, and we saw it. Yoel is signing to Bellator, it looks like,
Yep.
and we know that Rumble was maybe going to come back to the UFC, but Rumble went to Bellator too. So yeah, I mean that makes sense. Maybe they figured, yeah, maybe with Rumble, the Rumble situation, maybe it was like, yeah, he was going to ask for more than they felt like paying or something. I don't know.
That's what it seems like because it didn't make sense, right? He was like coming back and then now he's not. And he probably came back and said, "Look, Anthony Rumble Johnson, baby, give me that big pay scale money." And they were like, "No, actually, we're doing the opposite right now.
Right.
We're cutting back."
Did
It
you
didn't work
see
out.
though the meme that totally cracked me up with the dude eating the chips, and the chips were Bellator, and the guy, and it said the chips were Bellator, and the guy eating was Corey Anderson, and he's eating chips, and then it cuts to this dude, this other guy just like walks into the room. And people put Rumble Johnson, right? And then the guy eating the chips is like, "Oh man," he's like, "I can't have anything nice." You know what I mean? It is just, and it is. Even Corey was laughing about it. It was really funny because now, yeah, I mean, over at Bellator, let's say, well, it depends on what weight class, right? If they're going to be heavyweights, light heavyweights, is Yoel going to go up to 205, whatever. But there are some interesting fights over there. Ryan Bader, obviously, still there. There's a lot of fights over there. I know a lot of people were saying, oh, they could put Yoel versus Gay Guard right away, which would be cool if Yoel is still going to be fighting at 85. I don't know. But there are some good fights for them over there. But I had to crack up when I was like, I can never have anything nice or whatever. You'll have to find that meme. It's very funny. If people have seen it, they know which one I'm talking about, and it was very funny.
Did you say if Yoel's going to be fighting at what? At 85? Oh, 85.
Yeah.
I thought you were making an age joke or something. You said at 85.
Oh no, I don't mean at 85. He totally could though. I wouldn't put it past him.
I was like, yeah, he could be fighting. For
You know,
another 40
Yoel's
years.
gonna be that dude out on the salsa floor, like 85 years old, killing it. He's gonna be pulling like 30-year-old honeys.
Yeah.
The guy, he's. I mean, that dude is something special.
Doing backflips with jeans on. I can't even do a high kick with jeans on. He could do it all. Yeah, we'll see. I didn't know where you were going with that meme thing with the chips. I thought you were talking about that it was gonna be like a Debo thing, like give me them chips, man. Like that's my chips, like a Debo from Friday. type of
Debo.
thing.
Oh, rest in
Yeah.
peace, Debo.
I know, man. Like
Poor little out.
another 2020 downer. Yeah.
Pour a little out. Well, the interesting thing over the weekend too, is just to wrap up to 256. In-laws are in town and stuff, and so at first they were going to watch something else, but I was like, okay, well, this is just the last fight here, so I just need to watch, this title fight here, and so we were watching it. And it was obviously so good, and so then it was like I was like, all right, I'm sorry, I can go. Like you guys want to watch something else? And then my father-in-law's like, no. He's like, there's one round left. He's like, why do I want to stop watching now? Like he was totally into it too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so yeah, it was great. He's like, no, it's a title fight, one round left. And it was fun, and that's. I think to your point about what you're saying with, congratulating Mick on the matchmaking and bringing back that division and stuff. And I can tell you, he's my father-in-law's a guy that probably, just used to watch boxing and the old school stuff, would have not probably tuned in to watch 125ers fight on his own. You know what I mean? But once he was sitting there with me watching it, he was totally drawn in and loved that fight. So
I had like almost a similar story, because when I was watching it, me and my buddy were like on the couch watching the fights, and then all the girls were in the back just like drinking wine and chatting. But when that fight came on, they were all like yelling and oohing and on at the same time. It was one of those fights where you don't have to be an MMA fan to realize, like, this is crazy, this is exciting, it's energy. I jumped out of my chair 3 or 4 times during that fight, like at different moments. It was a spectacular fight, man. I love that we're ending the year with a bang and like this, and it just kind of keeps that momentum going into early next year.
It's exciting. It's very exciting. Well, Saturday, Wonder Boy is fighting Geoff Neal, and it's funny because before the show, folks, Alan and I were just kind of reminding ourselves on their records, and Alan and Geoff Neal have fought 3 of the same people, right?
He's got a very similar. Mike Perry, Bilal Muhammad, Nico Price. Yeah. I went 2 for 3 out of them. He went 3 for 3. I mean, Geoff Neal has fought some very like the guys that are in that like edge of the top 15, and then right on the top 20 guys, like the tough guys in UFC that stick around. And he's gotten through all those tests. He's passed the test, so he's ready for these bigger fights. You look at Wonder Boy's record as well. It's so impressive. The guys that he has fought, former champions, big names, top 5, top 10 for the last however many years. You see the people that Wonder Boy's knocked off. Supremely impressive. So this is a fun time to see these 2 guys that have went through the ranks, went through everybody, the tough guys in the division, and now they get to meet. They both get to headline the event. It's going to be a fun fight, though, man. Geoff Neal, he's just a guy that is very explosive, has very good high guard, keeps his hands up, has good power, and he covers distance really well. And that'll be interesting to see how Wonder Boy deals with that, because Wonder Boy is a guy that he likes to dictate the range and the footwork and everything. And now if he has somebody blitzing on him, following that up with power shots, we're going to have to see which way this goes. But we know both guys have tremendous heart, so it's going to be a fun main event.
Yeah, it is, and it's just, it's been a year basically since we've seen them both in action. Geoff beat Mike Perry a year ago. It's actually, today's the 14th. It's actually a year ago today when Kamaru beat Colby. That was on the same card. So Geoff beat Mike Perry on that card, and Wonder Boy hasn't fought since the Vicente Luque fight, which was actually November of 2019. So it's been even a little bit longer layoff for him. But yeah, I think it's going to be a really good fight. There's actually some great kickers on this one. Aldo is on this card. We also have Showtime Pettis on this card. Yep. It's like a striker's delight. There's a lot. We've got a good fight between Marlon Moraes and Rob Font. It's going to be a fun card. So I think these last 2 events come through, and our boy Bilal's on the fight, which I also love too. That you get to talk about him on the air, because I know, after your fight, you guys became buddies, and I just love Bilal. He's such a good guy. Yeah. There are a lot of talented people on this card, and I know a lot of people are, like we were saying, you have this great opportunity to show the world who you are with this limited amount of sports going on, right? There's so many more eyeballs on you, and it's been exciting to see some people really take the opportunity and shine. And I have a feeling this weekend we're going to probably see a few more what crazy knockouts or something. I
hope so. It would bring in the new year. Nothing brings in Christmas, Karyn.
Right.
Like a devastating knockout. I mean,
right.
If Anthony Pettis jumps off the cage and we're watching instant replays of some crazy kick going into the holidays, what's more festive than that? It brings in the holiday spirit. So yeah, I
Season's
hope so,
beatings, Alan. Season's beatings.
Season's beatings before the holidays. And those guys are all thinking the same thing. As a fighter, it's I'm going into Christmas. I have to win this fight. I just wanna win and go to Christmas with a black eye, and all my family hugs me, or if you have family because of quarantine. But yeah, you want nothing more than to sit down for Christmas with a victory under your belt. Right. So I think they're all gonna be just going for it last fight of the year.
Yeah, really, really good stuff. And last thing I want to comment on, did you see Max Payne Griffin's new tattoo?
Max Griffin's? No.
He got a tattoo of the ear that he ripped off. Remember in his last fight how he took off, what's his name's ear?
With the elbow, yeah.
Yeah. So he got a tattoo of an ear, like on his elbow, like right on his elbow.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty funny, but yeah, you'd have to look it up. I was like, oh man, that's just, and it's kind of nasty, but it's kind of funny, but it's kind of nasty. But I was like, oh yeah, it's my new Suvin ear. Get it?
Oh man, and he's play on. Wow.
Yeah, so I'm a word nerd, so I loved the pun.
Yeah, I know.
I loved the pun, but yeah, that's something I saw this week, which was I was like,
Max is wild.
All right, well
man.
played. I see. I think that's pretty clever.
That's wild of him to do that. Look, Max is a tough fighter.
Yeah.
And I remember when he did that to the ear, like he was like all about it. He was. I was like, this is kind of making him famous. So anytime you like beat somebody up and you pretty much take 90% of the ear off, this is like a highlight reel. So I get it, man. He put that on his arm. He's trying to just keep the momentum going. But man, he's wild for getting that there, like a tattoo of somebody else's ear. Oh, gnarly. I'm going to have to look it up.
Definitely look it up. It's pretty gross, but it's pretty funny. All right, well, so that does it. Like I said, folks, Alan and I will be working together this weekend. So on Friday, that means we will have UFC Live, which usually airs on ESPN2. And then right after that, usually 5 minutes later, we do a whole pre-show on ESPN Plus as well. So once we finish one thing, we crank out and do the other one. And then also we'll have the post-show on Saturday night. And sometimes, depending on how the card goes, you might see us featured in with the prelims like last week or whatever. Yeah, we did a lot of stuff to fill in on the prelims and things like that. Hopefully, knock wood, hopefully people stay safe this week and we don't lose some fights to COVID, because there are a lot of really good matchups. But hopefully folks will tune in and look for us. So I think we're going to have a good time. And yeah, you crushed it last time. And yeah, I'm happy you're back. And there's just so many great kickers and like strikers for you to talk about on this one. I think you're going to have a really good time.
I emailed Zach when he asked me about doing this card. I was like, hell yes. This is one. I mean, this is still when the main event was different with Chimaev. But I was like, this is the card that I've been looking forward to all year. And it's a striker's delight, and it's also like featuring a ton of welterweights that I'm super excited to be giving my thoughts on that all. So I'm excited to go, man. Last fight of the year, and in a bang. Awesome.
All right, well, you can follow our producer, Wade Eck, WadeEck, on Twitter and over on Instagram, and you can follow MMA Heat across the board. I'm Karyn Bryant on Twitter. You can subscribe to the Karyn Bryant channel on YouTube and the MMA Heat channel over on Instagram. I am KB Heat. Alan, where can people find you?
Yep, and give me a follow as well, guys. I'm at Alan Jouban, pretty much on all my social media. So go check one of those out, look me up, give me a follow.
Awesome. All right, folks. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. Please stay safe out there. If you're traveling, take precautions, wash your hands, stay safe, stay healthy, because we need people to stay alive.
We need that in the world. Take care, guys.
See ya.